Hey guys, I am just going to go through a couple of examples from the worksheet that you guys are completing in class today with the substitute. So the top part is just vocab that reviews from last class. So assuming most of you guys were here last class, you should look back to your notes in order to figure out all of that information. If you weren't here, you guys can go to the slides that are posted from Friday. They're still posted on the homepage of Canvas, just at the bottom. And so you can use the slides there in order to fill in this top part. We did practice with this on Friday, but solving for P, which again, P is the distance from the vertex to the focus. When I'm given an equation here that has a vertex at the center, the equation is either just y squared equals 4px or x squared equals 4py. So basically, the coefficient of the x or the y represents 4p. And so for each one of these problems, you would just set that coefficient equal to 4p. Wow, this is rather thick font. There we go. And in order to solve for, negative 12 is representing 4p here, right? So like that's because y squared equals 4px, right? So you see how the negative 12 has taken the place of the 4p. And so since negative 12 is representing 4p, that's why I set them equal. And then to solve for p, since there's a multiplication by 4, I'll just have to divide by 4. And in this case, I would find that p is equal to negative 3. Because it is a negative, I know that that either means that the distance to the focus is left or down. And because this is y squared equals, I know that that parabola would be opening to the right or left. And so this is going to have, which it doesn't ask this here, right? But that tells me that if my vertex is at the center, 3 units to the left of that would be my focus. Okay. So from there are a few problems on this next page asking you to find the key features of a given parabola. So first it asks you which direction it opens. So for instance, in this one, you can see the way it curves, it opens up to the left. And so I would circle that. It asks me to list the vertex. So that, remember, is the point essentially in the center of the parabola. So here you can see that's happening at the origin. And so the vertex would be 0, 0. The focus is the point that's not on the curve. It's equidistant from the vertex as the directrix is. So that would be this point right here. It's already marked in for us. But so that would have a coordinate of negative 3, 0. So I just list that here. And what that tells me, this is really similar to that last example. Here, P would be equal to negative 3 because the distance from the vertex to the focus is 3 and it's moving to the left and the left direction is negative. Next, it asks for the equation of the directrix. So this vertical line here is the directrix. Remember, a vertical or horizontal line will always have the equation either x equals to some number or y equals to some number. When I'm looking at a vertical line, I'm thinking about which value is constant this whole time. So this line crosses through where x is equal to 3. And so what that tells me is if it crosses through the x-axis there and it's going up and down, the x value does not change as I go up and down, right? Like this point right here has an x value of 3. This point right here still has an x value of 3. As you go up and down, it's the x value that stays constant. And so the equation of this line can be represented as x equals 2, 3. Vertical lines then will always have the equation x equals some number, and horizontal will always have the equation y equals some number. Oh, and then I already found P. Didn't even realize it was going to ask us for that later. But again, P, it's the distance between the focus and the vertex. But when you're counting, again, if the focus is to the left or down, it would be negative. So I can count 3 units between those two. And so P is going to be negative 3 since the focus is to the left. If you ever forget whether it's the vertex or focus that you want to know about whether it's the left or not, just think about which way the parabola is opening. If the parabola is opening left or down, you know that P is negative, and so that'll tell me. But basically, it's because it's really the distance from the focus to the, from the vertex to the focus. I probably could have worded this backwards to say that. But yeah, so that would be negative. You have 4 of those. And then I think the last problem type is actually graphing a parabola from an equation. So when you have this, we have these boxes asking you some things to help you figure everything out. So for instance, first we have to tell if it opens up, down, left, or right. Remember, if it starts with x squared, right, then it's going to open either up or down. Y squared would be either left or right. And then we see that P will be positive, right? There's no negative sign here. So that tells me that this one will open up. The vertex, I mean, we're told that for all these problems, the vertex is at the origin. Probably starting tomorrow, we'll look at ones that aren't at the origin. But so the vertex was basically given as 0, 0 for all of these problems. And then it also, you can tell because there's no numbers being added or subtracted from x and y. That's what tells you that the vertex is 0, 0 if it weren't given. Now, before I know where the focus and directrix are, I want to find P. So just like we did earlier, I will take the coefficient, and set that equal to 4P. So if 4 is equal to 4P, we'll find that P is equal to positive 1. Makes sense it's positive because we're opening up, right? And that tells me that the distance from the vertex to the focus is 1. So if my vertex is at 0, 0, and I'm going to be opening up, that means I should count up by 1 unit to plot the focus. And remember that the vertex is equidistant to the focus and the directrix. So if the focus is 1 unit up, the directrix will be 1 unit down, but it's, a line. So I will plot this horizontal line that crosses through 1 unit below the vertex. And the last part is to actually identify the coordinate of the focus and the equation of the directrix. So the equation of the focus here, I can see my x value is 0. I have not gone to the right or left, and I've gone up by 1 unit. So we have 0, 1. And then again, the directrix, it's this time a horizontal line. So you can see how it crosses through the y-axis at -1. Since it crosses through the y-axis at -1, we have y is equal to -1. Because at every point on this line, the y value would be -1. So that is how you do these problems. Please go ahead, and if you need to rewatch any of this or work with the people around you, ask questions, you can. But use this information to help you finish the rest of this worksheet. Remember, what you don't finish today in class will be your homework.